Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Super Tease video. And in this one, we've got a massive update for Shadowlands. We've got an exact date of arrival. We've got November 23rd at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Note this is a Monday, not a Tuesday for all of us here in North America, if you're anticipating that. It is unfortunate that this release date does come in and around the holidays for Thanksgiving. You could just be like me, Canadian, and celebrate Thanksgiving on the correct day. No, of course, I'm just joking. It is obviously very unfortunate that the game has to come out around this time. I am sure that the developers of the game would have much rather had the game out when they intended to have the game out, right? Like, this isn't them purposely trying to do this. They're just trying to get this game into our hands. So hopefully you will be able to safely celebrate the holidays with your family and your friends, and then maybe take them over into Azeroth a little bit, start leveling up into Shadowlands. And what does this mean now for the current part of the game before we get into the expansion? It means finally we're going to have a pre-patch event. It's been a while with no catch-up gear, and it was a significant portion of time. I personally actually geared a character up just to see what it was like. It took me, I think, about 10 hours total to get to about 110 item level. Having already been max level and having essences unlocked to get through Echoes of Nyalotha. If I was a new character, it would have been much longer than that. But with this now pre-launch event coming on November 10th, it means that the Scourge event will be occurring. And if you missed out on these types of events like Scourge events and Wrath of the Lich King, they were quite a treat. I'm eagerly anticipating this event. I'm hoping that it delivers even close to the experience that was delivered back in Wrath when we saw the necropolises popping up around the globe and sort of just dropping undead around. I'm really hoping for this to be a heavy Scourge theme. It's one of my favorite themes, if not my favorite theme, for the entirety of World of Warcraft's history. So, but the main purpose of that event is that you'll be getting 100 item levels. So I'm hoping you'll shave off at least half the amount of time that I did. My personal recommendation to you, if you want to play now leading up into Shadowlands, is to stay around level 49. You can turn your experience off by going into the Stormwind Keep, and I'm not sure where in Orgrimmar exactly. Type it in Google quickly, and you'll find this XP off vendor, which will turn your XP off, and it'll hold you at whatever level you want to be at. And I recommend level 49. For whatever reason, at level 49, if your interest is doing Battlegrounds and PvP, the gameplay is really fun right now. And I don't know how it happened, but it is really fun just staying at level 49. If you ding to level 50, you're going to get pushed around by all of the people, all the sway people who have been grinding Nyalotha for months and months and months with all of their essences and all their Azerite traits and their high item levels. So if you want to just have some fun, not deal with being at such a massive deficit, that is my recommendation, to play around level 49 instead. And you can easily get to 50 by the time Shadowlands comes out, maybe a week before, and then start getting this 100 item level gear before you start leveling. The raid tier is going to be releasing on December 8th. So if you're interested in getting into the raid, and it is a big recommendation from me personally that you pick what characters you want in Shadowlands now, and you get them max level as soon as possible. And maybe don't overextend too much. And the main reason I say this is that there's currently no catch-up mechanic for legendaries. So when they decide to release Torghast and you're going to collect Soul Ash to build your legendaries, you're only going to be able to get so much a week, and you don't get to earn it back a second time. So if you want to have a character that's PvE focused and PvP focused, you may want 2 druids, for example, because they may go down different legendary paths to excel in different content. But if you only level 1, you'll be falling behind the curve. So make sure that you've set in stone, like, I want PvP druid, I want PvE priest, I want PvE PvP priest. I'm going to try and make it work in between, something like that. Make sure you've got it settled, get that character ready, get it to max level as soon as possible. Torghast, for myself, when I tested it, you can do it in a reasonably low item level. So once you're max level, you're kind of okay in that position as far as not falling behind. But to me, it's very important that I get whatever characters I want to play in a competitive fashion, max level as fast as possible, so that I don't fall behind on the legendaries specifically. And aside from that, another big update that we've got from the release date is changes to PvP Trinkets. We're going to be getting a pretty big buff to wearing 2 PvP trinkets in Shadowlands. So when you wear trinkets awarded from PvP, the damage and healing benefit of your versatility is increased by 40% when in arenas, battlegrounds, and war mode. So this is in an attempt to make the PvP gear, which has been redesigned. And I say PvP gear, it's just gear awarded from Conquest. It has versatility on every piece now. They've itemized it to be a little bit more preferential for specs in a PvP environment, and because they're the pieces that are such versatility dense, and you don't see versatility pieces really anywhere else in the game, it means that getting that PvP gear gets the bonus of this trinket with way more value. Will it make, for example, I think a lot of players expecting to get max level, do some random BGs, pick up some blue gear, get in arenas, do some conquest. I'm not sure if that's going to be your progression path. I don't know if this set bonus is good enough to make the honor PvP gear versatility compete with something like a heroic raiders gear head to head. I'm curious to see how it plays out, but at the moment it's a lot of honor to get the honor gear. Wouldn't really recommend it. I think a much more streamlined gearing path when you get to max level is going to be doing dungeons, world quests, maybe mix in a little bit of battlegrounds, maybe get your trinkets from there for the bonus, but I'm not yet sold on 100% of the honor gear being relevant, but the conquest gear will definitely be relevant. Another contesting problem with this trinket change is that the PvE trinkets, I'm not sure if like something like a flat 90% nerf is going to work on some of these PvE trinkets. Like these PvE trinkets are absolutely game breaking. I'm honestly a bit surprised that they're even introduced into the game in general, because they impede on sort of class fantasy pretty heavily. You've got cheat death, you have guardian angel, you have effects that are basically hardcore class abilities that everybody gets on a trinket. It seems very invasive to the game as a whole. And I think that those trinkets, even if you were to nerf them to be able to cheat your own death, might still hold more value. However, the change made here is definitely shown that they want to make it the better choice, right? They want you to feel like the majority of your gear that you get from PvP is the best in PvP, while encouraging you to do some PvE to fully optimize your itemization, which is fine. But the main problem for Battle for Azeroth was that you were doing 99% of your content wasn't PvP, and you had maybe one piece awarded from PvP. So there is a big shift from that as a whole. They also have introduced a vendor that will sell legendary powers that you otherwise wouldn't get from your content, but it's random. Not certain on whether or not how this vendor is going to unfold. I think it might be tied to the Maw. So you may be able to do the Maw and engage in some world content to collect currency to gather recipes for legendaries from, let's say you don't have time to raid, right? You're a PvP player, you don't have time to raid, but the legendary recipe from the raid is what you need to do well in PvP. So you could go to the Maw as a solo player and do world content, likely is what I would imagine, to collect currency to try and go after that legendary without needing to stick to a raiding schedule. And I thought that the introduction of this vendor was really good overall, because even for myself personally, while I think I'm going to try all of the content in the game, maintaining a raid schedule, dealing with like that massive group content has never been really appealing to me for some time. I much prefer the small group content, 5-man dungeon, 3-player PvP, not so much the 10-player rated battlegrounds. It's just my own personal preference, but there are a lot of changes being made, and now with a concrete date set in stone here for Shadowlands, maybe this means that the tuning will dial back a little bit, probably not for a while, but things should, I think, start leveling out in terms of like, okay, I can finally pick what class I want to play because I want to be competitive and I want to make sure that I'm picking a competitive class. I think it's getting closer to that point. So if you haven't checked out my videos on the channel here, subscribe. I'm updating every single day in terms of what is happening in terms of changes and reviewing all of the classes in depth and in detail. So if you really want to find out what's fun, what's fascinating, and what's fantastic, this is the final place that you'll need to stop, or at least that's my goal and my aim with the channel. If you like this video, please leave it with a thumbs up, and check out some of my other videos. I'll have linked above here, class recommendations and class reviews. And aside from that, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.